Money used to feel simple. You worked hard, saved a little, bought a house, and eventually retired. At least, that's the story many millennials and Gen Z were told growing up. But when reality arrived, the rules had completely changed. Housing prices exploded, rent kept climbing, groceries doubled. Student debt followed millions of people well into adulthood. And everywhere you look online, someone your age seems to be living a luxury life, driving expensive cars, traveling the world, and somehow making money while they sleep. It creates a quiet pressure that almost no one talks about, the pressure to keep up, the pressure to succeed, and the fear that you're somehow already behind. For many young adults, money isn't just about paying bills anymore. It's become a source of constant anxiety. But here's the surprising part. Despite the challenges, Millennials and Gen Z may actually have one of the greatest wealth-building opportunities in history. Not because the economy is easy, but because the rules of money have changed. And once you understand these new rules, building wealth becomes far less stressful than most people think. But first, we need to understand why money feels so overwhelming for younger generations in the first place. And the truth behind it might surprise you. For many millennials and Gen Z adults, the financial journey begins with a frustrating paradox. You're told to work hard, build a career, and everything will fall into place. But the numbers tell a different story. Wages have grown slowly, while the cost of living has skyrocketed. Rent in many cities now takes up nearly half of someone's monthly income. Home ownership, once considered a basic milestone of adulthood, now feels like a distant dream for millions. Then there's student debt. Many young professionals started their careers already, tens of thousands of dollars behind financially, and just when things start to stabilize, another expense appears. Car payments, subscriptions, unexpected bills, medical costs. Before long, the paycheck that once felt promising disappears almost as quickly as it arrives. And that's when something else quietly enters the picture. Comparison. Social media has created a world where everyone appears to be winning financially. Someone your age just bought a house. Another person launched a business. Someone else claims they're making 6 figures from investing. But what most people don't see is the full story behind those posts. Debt, financial help from family, or carefully curated highlight reels. The result is a generation that often feels financially behind Evan when they're doing reasonably well. But here's where things start to shift. Because while millennials and Gen Z face real financial challenges, they also have something previous generations didn't access, and that access is quietly changing the wealth game. Just a few decades ago, investing was complicated. You needed a broker, large amounts of money, and sometimes even connections to financial institutions. For many people, the stock market felt like an exclusive club reserved for the wealthy. Today, that barrier has largely disappeared. With just a smartphone and a small amount of money, almost anyone can begin investing. And younger generations have noticed. Many Gen Z investors are entering the market years earlier than previous generations did. And this early start might be their biggest financial advantage because of something called compound growth. Compound growth is simple, but incredibly powerful. It means your money begins earning returns, and those returns start generating returns of their own. Over time, the effect becomes exponential. None of these purchases feel excessive on their own. But over time, they quietly expand to fill your entire income. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the biggest reasons many high earners never actually become wealthy. Because as income grows, spending grows just as fast, sometimes even faster. Social media makes this even more powerful. Everywhere you look, there's a new trend. Luxury vacations, designer clothing, the newest gadgets, experiences that promise to make life more exciting, and it creates a subtle feeling that you should be enjoying these things too. After all, you work hard, you deserve it. But here's the catch. Many wealthy people live very differently than their online image suggests. They don't necessarily avoid spending, but they prioritize something else first, something that quietly builds wealth in the background. And once you understand this rule, your financial life begins to change. One of the simplest wealth strategies ever created is also one of the most ignored. It's called pay yourself first. Most people follow the opposite approach. They earn money, pay their bills, spend on entertainment, handle expenses, and whatever is left if anything gets saved. But the wealthy reverse the order. Before spending money anywhere else, they move a portion of their income into savings or investments. Automatically, that means the future version of themselves gets paid first, not last. This small shift changes everything, because when saving and investing happen automatically, you stop relying on willpower, and instead, you create a system that works quietly in the background. Over time, those automatic contributions begin to grow. Month after month, year after year, eventually forming a financial safety net. But there's another piece of the puzzle that many younger adults are beginning to explore, and it's something previous generations didn't always prioritize. Creating multiple sources of income. For decades, financial advice followed a simple formula. Get a stable job, work your way up, stay loyal to one company, and retire after many years of service. But Millennials and Gen Z grew up watching industries change overnight. Jobs disappear, companies restructure, entire careers become automated. As a result, many younger workers are building income in a different way. Instead of relying on one paycheck, they create several. Side businesses, freelance work, digital products, online content, consulting. The internet has opened doors that barely existed a generation ago. A designer can sell templates online. A teacher can create digital courses. A writer can publish content for a global audience. And while not every side project becomes a full business, many of them generate additional income streams. These streams provide flexibility, security, and sometimes even opportunities that traditional careers can't offer. But here's the important part. Income alone doesn't create wealth. There are people earning six-figure salaries who still struggle financially. Which brings us to something far more important than income itself. The psychology of money. Money decisions are rarely logical. They're emotional. The urge to buy something new, the fear of missing out on opportunities, the excitement of quick profits, or the anxiety of watching investments fluctuate. These emotions influence financial choices far more than most people realize. And without awareness, they can quietly sabotage wealth building. One of the most powerful habits financially successful people develop is delayed gratification, the ability to wait, to build assets instead of chasing temporary excitement. This doesn't mean never enjoying money, but it means understanding the difference between short-term pleasure and long-term freedom. Because wealth isn't just about numbers in a bank account, it's about options. The option to change careers, the option to take time off, the option to live life on your own terms. And there's one final mindset shift that makes all of this far less stressful. A strategy that most financially successful people eventually discover. The internet loves dramatic success stories. Someone turned $500 into millions. A startup exploded overnight. A trader made a fortune in a single year. These stories are exciting, but they are also extremely rare. Most wealth is built slowly, quietly, over long periods of time, through consistent investing, smart financial habits, and patience. It's not flashy, but it works. Instead of chasing risky trends, long-term investors focus on steady growth. Instead of constantly switching strategies, they stay consistent. And instead of trying to get rich quickly, they focus on getting wealthy. Gradually, ironically, this slower approach often creates far greater results, because time becomes your most powerful ally, which leads to one of the biggest realizations about money most people learn later in life. Building wealth doesn't require extreme sacrifice. It doesn't require becoming obsessed with money. And it certainly doesn't require copying the flashy lifestyles seen online. For Millennials and Gen Z, the real opportunity lies in something much simpler: starting early, investing consistently, avoiding lifestyle traps, and creating systems that make financial growth automatic. Small decisions made today can compound into life-changing results over time. And the biggest financial mistake most people make isn't earning too little. It's believing they need to have everything figured out before they begin. Because in the end, wealth rarely comes from one perfect decision. It comes from thousands of small ones made consistently. And the sooner those decisions start, the easier the journey becomes. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more insights into money, investing, and the hidden rules of wealth that most people never learn. Because the truth is, financial freedom isn't reserved for a lucky few. But understanding the game early can make all the difference.